All right, coach, why don't we get into this power kickout drill?
Yeah, so power drill it's a very similar setup to the last drill we do. We're going to use garbage cans. So we would have a garbage can kind of representing the front side guard, and we put the running back on a hash just to give him a landmark. We'll have a player, usually an H, holding a bag, kind of where the defensive end would be. I might throw like a little cone or a disc down to represent the tackle, just so the fullbacks have a naming point. And basically what we're doing is we're just replicating power. So we're going to have the defensive end kind of simulate a defensive end of power. He's either going to get like tackle away, he'll squeeze it hard, or we'll have him just kind of come up and sit on the line. We would call that like a 50-50 play or slow playing end. We would probably start off having the defensive end just kind of sit as a 50-50 player and really focus on our kickouts as we're introducing the drill. And then as we start to get proficient at the drill, we'll work logs. And then once they understand the kind of difference between both, we'll get the defensive end to, kind of randomly select, is he going to be a spiller, or is he going to be a 50-50 player? Fullback has to react accordingly. And our running back, we're just working through our power footwork. So we have different alignments. We'll run power out of the pistol. We'll run out of like the strong gun or the weak gun. We'll just have them different alignments, just work their footwork, kind of press the front side guard, and then just reacting off the fullback. If it's a kick out, he's going to stay inside, basically up to the double, like past the double team, stay on that tight on that wall. If it's a log, he's going to bounce it and then get back vertical. We use a technique that I really like when they get a bounce, like if the defensive end logs and the fullback has to log it and the ball is kicking out wide, to jump kind of get back vertical right away. Sometimes they'll have a tendency, the running backs, they'll want to bounce it and get their shoulders to the sideline, and then they got to recut back upfield. So we really just drilled a lot of the time because we run power a lot, power and counter. We see a ton of spilling. We're a big gap team at Western, so we see a ton of spilling in. So the ball bounces outside on power probably half the time. So we really worked on having our tailbacks, when they saw the log, jump cut around the log and then get back north and south. We want to get the ball upfield as quick as possible. So we repped like the crap out of that technique, and it was showing up on our game film. So I'm glad we did it. It made me feel like what we were repping was showing up. But to talk about the fullbacks, essentially we're coaching the same technique. It's a leverage block if we're talking about a kick out. So we're going to block right, hit right. So basically what we want to do is we're telling the fullback, your aiming point is the inside hip of the tackle. We want you to try to be inside out of the defensive end. We're blocking power to the right, so we're going to use our right half of our body. Some teams are like shoulder block techniques, like more like a guard would kick out. Other teams or coaches would prefer like, hands block technique. We teach the hands, but if a guy brings his body into his wall, we're not really going to coach against it as long as it's physical. But the big coaching points that we're coaching the fullbacks is head position. You got to have your head position in the hole. That's like the number one coaching position or coaching point for the fullbacks on this play. And we're constantly talking on film. Like if their head's in the wrong spot, they're going to hear about it on film. We make the guys coach each other on film. If they see a guy with improper leverage, they have to call them out in our film meetings. The second thing is we want to get our eye level below their eye level, so they got to get their hips down. We talk about eye level versus pad level just because I think a kid understands, like if I mean eye level, it means your eyes below his eyes. He goes, okay, I know what that means. But if I go, well, pad level, he goes, well, what does that mean? Like bend my waist? No, get your eyes below his eyes. So by bending your knees and getting your butt down. And then the third thing we talk about is running through contacts. We call that foot fire. So basically just like as you're about to engage, you can't stop your feet. You have to speed your feet up because that's where the force comes from. And then you got to bring your hands through and you have to sustain. And that's a big coaching point that I got from Steve when I was working with him 2 years ago was you got to sustain blocks. Like once you engage on that block, you can't come off that block. This isn't a combo. If the fullback's kicking the defensive end, like you're locking that guy to the whistle. So you got to get your hands inside. And then we talk a lot about like forcing your inside arm. So if we're running power to the right, we're kicking out with our right side of our body. Our left hand has to drive through and really strain. And we got to drive our left arm up and our left leg up and really try to squeeze our butt together and force that strain so that we get like strong inside. We can't let that guy rip across face late. Because what defensive ends will want to do is they'll fit up on that kick out. They're kind of reading the play. They see the running back one side and then they want to rip through and try to make the play from behind for a 2-yard gain. So we got to say, like, you can't let that guy rip through late. You have to strain and try to get your butt turned to the hole and end up kicking him out to the sidelines once you've engaged him. So in a perfect world, you're going to engage inside out and you're going to drive that guy right to the stance. If you get a log, you kind of always kick everything until you know what to log and then squeeze it. If you try to play to a guy to log it, you're probably going to end up missing a kick out. So, I mean, what that means is basically just try to kick out every single defender. And then as you know that he's trying to wrong arm you, okay, you can twist late and try to drive your outside arm up and strain with your outside arm, your outside leg, and just turn your body and basically drive him into the back of the offensive lineman and just let the running back cut. And now the guard and the running back have to react off that accordingly. So you kind of always coach, just like Coach Waterman said a couple minutes ago, always expect that he's going to squeeze it hard. Always expect that you're going to kick it out, log to react to a log. The running back, if it logs, just jump cut and get back north right away. I mean, if a kid is an amazing athlete and can one cut and get around the defensive end, that's okay. I'm not going to yell at a kid that makes a great play and doesn't jump cut. But if you're running to the sidelines on a log, you're going to get coached. You got to get upfield and burst your arch and get back north and south right away. So that's the big coaching point on that. As far as the guards go, like the offensive line coach would coach them, but the big coaching point for the guards is you can't be on the same plane as the fullbacks because you want to be able to react to a log. So if the fullback's on this kind of level, I'll try to demonstrate it. If the fullback's like on this level and the guard can't be right here because then if it's a log, you have to dip around him. So if the fullback's on this level, the guard should be here. So now as I log, I can just go around it, right? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yep, that's a great point.
And then how we would do this drill is similar setup. The fullback would take over the bag for the defensive end. Usually I'll stand where the C is, and as the running back kind of makes his cut, I'll just give him maybe I'll have like a hand shield. I'll stick it at him. I just like to give them something to avoid late and work ball security. Every drill that we do with the running backs includes a ball security aspect. We're coaching ball security constantly, and so we'll make sure that they're finishing with the proper ball security technique, claw wing chin, getting upfield, getting north, just throwing a triangle on as they get through contact. I'm just always making them reinforce, like throwing triangles to protect the ball or attacking the tackler from inside out. But the main coaching points to the fullback is aiming point through the inside hip of the tackle, kind of understand what your leverage is. If it's block right, hit right. Expect a squeeze, react if the guy's tight, you can log it, and then just bring your hands through, run your feet, sustain the block until the whistle.
That's phenomenal. That's a great breakdown, Coach. I have one follow-up question, and it's just, how do you get the tempo that you want out of this drill? I mean, you have a halfback representing as a DN, like we all do, right, in our indie period. Yep. How do you find that balance? Because it's such an important technique to get the work you want while keeping everyone safe and getting that intensity that you're looking for.
Well, that's a great question. That was like the number one thing for me when I started coaching CIS is like, how do you coach as hard as you can and make your guys work, but also like, I can't risk getting guys hurt. High school, like, and I don't want to sound like, but when I coached high school, like we would work them. We were hitting bags all the time. And university was like, oh, if I get this guy hurt, I'm going to get yelled at. So we'll do a couple different things. We'll have the fullbacks hold like a full size round bag, kind of halfway up their body. I like it over their heads, kind of like above their heads. So I want to protect the head contact. That's my biggest fear is head contact. So if we do a drill with that setup, we're kind of expecting our blockers to go full speed. We tell the guy holding the bag, like, use the bag to protect your body, specifically your head. Other times we'll do it with a hand shield, and then other times we'll have the defensive end holding like a medicine ball or a soccer ball, and we're just working hand placement. And I think they kind of realize, like, depending on what type of drill setup we're doing, what the intensity is. Sometimes we'll say to them, like, hey, we're going to use the ball today, and I want you to have perfect hand technique because we're not going to beat the crap out of you. And then other times, if it's early in training camp, we're probably using a round bag and they're going full. And then that's, I guess, what my job is to stand behind them and coach them up. Like, the tempo's got to be there. And the nice thing about university football is players are self-motivated. So if a guy's not giving you the effort you need, it's not that hard to change that behavior. In high school, just kind of, I think the big thing with me, and I mean, a lot of guys, I'm not the only one that does this, a lot of guys do this. The first time I show a drill, I'll try to explain to them like what I want out of the drill and kind of what the expectations are. So when we do this in training camp, and the nice thing about, CIS, you guys know this, is you can meet with the guys. So we can meet with them in the summer and maybe go over what the drills are. We'll go over this in our preseason meeting and show them like the 7 or 8 main drills we'll do and kind of explain it to them. And we have the winter practices, so they've run these drills before where there's not a stress situation, like we're not getting ready for a game. So we can do this drill in our Friday practices in January and explain to the guys, and I can do it for 10 minutes so that in the season I can do it for 5 and get more reps out of it. So I guess to answer your question, you just explain them what you want and coach them when they don't give it to you.
That's great. Very thorough. Coach Waterman, anything to add?
Well, I think that's great. I was going to ask that exact same question about physicality and how you get that done, but I think you answered it very well. So thanks.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing I think I found is how do you coach your guys in contact positions without losing their physicality, but also not beating them up, because you got to play on Saturday and we need our best guys in the field. So I can't afford to have a guy banged up. So just, you got to be creative and come up with ways. And obviously use bags to make sure that they're protecting themselves, and guys have to understand the tempo as well. And I think as the season goes on, you start to focus more on like the very fine points of the drill and less about the contact. And then you just expect guys, when we're doing those like 12 or 15 plays of full script, like full practice, where you need to go hard and make sure that we're doing what we want. But if we're just doing an indie drill, let's just work the techniques and make sure our footwork's perfect, our aiming points are perfect, our hand position's perfect, and we're not out there to just bang guys in a 20-minute period. So
perfect.